Hello, my dear friends. Tonight, you're not just listening to another ghost story. You're stepping into one. The air is thick with heat and the kind of humidity that makes the hairs on your arms curl. Somewhere deep in the Vietnamese jungle, the sounds of civilization taper off until all you hear are the chirps of insects and the far-off grumble of a coming storm. The ground under your boots squelches wet with old rain. You wipe sweat from your brow. You're here for a reason, but every step deeper into the overgrowth asks the same question. Why? There's a road behind you, and a memory even farther behind that. But ahead? There's only the thick silence of a jungle that hasn't slept since 1972. And just a quick reality check. You probably won't survive this if you're the type to flinch at footsteps in the dark, or voices that don't belong. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, what's your location, and what time are you listening to this creepy story? Let's start listening to this story to see how thrilling, heart-stopping, and creepy it is. You first heard about the bunker from someone who shouldn't even remember it. Old man Fuck was almost 90 when you met him, shriveled, nearly blind, and sharper than a blade. He used to fight in the war, they said. Never talked about it until that final week in the hospital. And even then, the things he said weren't exactly what you'd call coherent. He whispered about the wet place, and the ones who never left, and metal doors that breathe. But one night, when the power flickered and the nurses left him alone, he grabbed your wrist with surprising strength and said, "You'll hear them walking. Don't go." Of course, that's exactly why you did. There's a thin trail that leads off Highway 14, somewhere near Kon Tum. The jungle has almost taken it back, but you can find it if you know what you're looking for. An old used military map from 1971 yellowed and frame marked the spot. No name, just Bravo Site 9, and a red circle around a dead-end hill. You didn't expect anything to still be there. At best, some rusted barbed wire and maybe a collapsed hatch. But when you reach the coordinates, what you find is something different. Hidden beneath tangled vines and moss, there's a concrete structure low and flat like a forgotten tooth sticking out of the jungle's gums. A sealed steel door, rusted but intact, sits flush in the slope of the hill. There's a plaque above it in English, Bravo Site 9, secured the 11th of February 1972. Do not UNSEL the strange thing? The welds are still clean, fresh, almost. Not touched by time, the way everything else is. And the stranger thing? There's water trickling out from beneath the door. You crouch, run your fingers through it. It's cold, unnaturally cold. It hasn't rained in a week, but it feels like the runoff from a flood. Thick, with a faint smell of rust and something else, like mildew and battery acid. You lean your head close to listen, and that's when you hear a dot step, dot heavy, deliberate, echoing, but coming from behind the sealed door. You freeze. Lean back, listen again, nothing, you wait another minute too. The jungle chatters with life around you, but the door remains still. It could have been your imagination. Could have been a tree creaking or an animal rustling. Could have been. You tell yourself you're just here to check things out, to honor an old man's dying story. But you brought more than a flashlight and bug spray. You brought bolt cutters, a crowbar, a few days' worth of food, and a tent. Because you weren't planning on leaving right away, were you? You set up camp, 15 meters back, close enough to watch the entrance, far enough that if the footsteps come again, maybe you won't hear them quite as loud. That night, the rain comes sudden and hard. You sit inside your tent, rain hammering against the nylon, listening to the jungle disappear beneath the downpour. Your flashlight flickers once, just once, but you ignore it. You don't sleep much. Around 3 a.m., you wake the silence. No rain, No insects. Nothing dot. And then you hear it again dot step. 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 But not from the door dot this time. It's coming from the side. Through the trees. Slow. Squelching. You hold your breath. You don't move. You don't turn on your light. And after a few minutes, it stops dot just as it started. You try to rationalize. Jungle animals. Echoes. Your own heartbeat playing tricks. But in the pit of your stomach, something old and primal tightens dot when morning comes. You find new puddles around your tent deep and wide. But it hadn't rained in hours, and there are no footprints. None that should be there, anyway. Before you pack up to check the door again, you catch sight of something scratched into the bark of a tree just behind your tent. A single word, in English, still scratched in deep dot next to it. 3 tally marks. You never told anyone this, but for the rest of that day, you didn't feel alone. You felt observed, measured dot like something inside the jungle had noticed you, and was wondering whether you'd leave, or whether you'd open the door dot. The second morning arrives heavy with fog and silence. The sun filters through the mist like a flickering projector light, making everything around you look ghostly, unreal. Your tent is damp, your clothes colder than they should be, and your gear is coated in a fine, almost greasy dew. It clings to your skin and makes every breath taste like wet copper. You walk back to the bunker entrance. The puddles from the night before are gone. The water still leaks steadily from the base of the sealed door. It doesn't make sense. No rainfall overnight. No source of water higher up the slope. Just a door that has remained sealed for more than 50 years, and yet weeps as though there's a storm. Trapped inside dot, and then you hear it again, dot step, dot just. 1. This time, it isn't followed by more. This time, it sounds dot dot hesitant, like it knows you're listening. You crouch and press your ear to the steel. Nothing. Not even the hum of insects now. You take out your phone and try to record dot nothing. Not even static dot. It was the same with the trail camera you set up the day before. Batteries drained within hours. The footage? Blank. Like the jungle swallowed every frame whole. Later that day, you visit a nearby village, a place so small it barely qualifies as a name on the map. You sit at a plastic table outside a weathered convenience stall, nursing a bitter coffee, and hoping the locals might say something, anything about the hill. You ask a middle-aged man if he's heard about the old American bunker sealed since 72 dot. He stops chewing dot. Then he swallows too slowly. Kangnan and Jianko. He says quietly, "You shouldn't go near there." He won't say more. Not at first, but an older woman who's been eavesdropping nearby comes over. Her eyes are milky and unfocused. Her words are sharp. "We used to hear it as kids," she says in thick accented English. At night, when the fog is thick, footsteps, chains, screaming, but not loud like someone was screaming underwater. You ask her if anyone ever went inside. "No one comes back if they do," she replies, and walks away. That evening, you study the exterior of the bunker again. The welds look recent, but according to military records, this place was officially decommissioned and sealed in February 1972, shortly before the Easter offensive. No personnel assigned since. No recovery missions, but there's something else. On the steel door, just below eye level, you spot a dent, a large one, like someone or something struck it from the inside. The metal around it is slightly bubbled, as though it had been heated and then cooled too quickly. There's another thing, too. You didn't notice it until you crouched down again and looked closely at the bottom edge of the door. They're etched in the grime, partially hidden by the trickling water, are fingerprints. They're facing outward, too small to be an adult's, too clean to be decades old. That night, you sleep with your flashlight under your chin, like a child who no longer trusts the dark. The jungle doesn't sing its usual lullaby. No frogs, no birds. Just wind and water. Always the sound of water dripping from somewhere unseen. Then dash, just as your eyelids begin to surrender. Something changes. There's a rhythm now. Step. Step. Clank. Step. It's back. But this time it isn't underneath you. It's circling your tent. You hold your breath, praying it's a pig or maybe a monkey, anything that belongs here. You reach slowly for your machete, blade still in its sheath, and press your back against the tent wall. Clank. A heavy, metallic, dragging sound, like boots soaked in water, dragging something behind. Then, silence. For 10 minutes. 15. Then the zipper on your tent whispers, just slightly, like someone ran a finger along it. You burst out, machete raised, heart punching your ribs from the inside. Nothing. No one. But the ground outside your tent is wet again, drenched as if a hose had been turned on around you. No rain, no storm, just moisture and a line of dark puddles that form a perfect half circle around your tent. Next morning, you find your pack unzipped. Your flashlight is missing. Your phone is missing. But your crowbar? Still there. Almost like it was left for you. At that point, it's no longer curiosity pushing you forward. It's something colder. Something that's starting to thread itself into your chest. A need to understand. Or maybe just a need to prove you're not losing your grip. You start cataloging everything. The sounds, the wetness, the chill, the sense that each night something gets closer. That it's not just walking anymore. It's waiting. And so you make a decision. You're going to open it. Maybe not today. Maybe not even tomorrow. But soon. And when you do, whatever's inside will finally see the sky again. Or maybe it'll finally see you. And in the wet hush of the jungle, someone steps once more beneath the surface of the sealed earth. The rain comes again that night. Not a drizzle, not even a monsoon, but something more violent, more intentional. It hits your tent like a warning, like fists of water pounding down in waves that never end. You lie still, the sound drowning out your own thoughts, until the lines between memory and dream start to blur. You dream of boots marching underwater, of breathing that sounds like it's coming from inside your mouth, of a door, not the steel, one but a rotting wooden hatch at the bottom of a black well, swinging open just enough for pale fingers to slip through. You wake up gasping. It's morning. And somehow, the jungle smells cleaner. Too clean. The air is so crisp it's almost sterile. And that ever-present rot has vanished like it was never real. But when you crawl out of your tent, you see something that rips the breath from your lungs. Your tent is surrounded. Not by people, not by footprints. By water. Perfect circles. Deep, perfectly shaped puddles with dry ground between them, as if something wet had stood in 12 different spots while watching you sleep. Each puddle is equidistant from the tent, like sentinels. And in the middle of one, left deliberately, is your flashlight. It still works. And when you flick it on, it shines. Brighter than before, like it's been ... charged. That's when you decide to return to the hospital. Falk passed 3 days ago, but his personal effects are still there. You convince the staff you're a distant relative. No one questions it. You find his journal. And taped inside the back cover, hidden beneath a folded page, is something you didn't expect to see. A rusted key. Heavy, blackened, worn smooth on one end and jagged on the other, with teeth like a mouth trying not to scream. The tag on it reads only B9 Inner. You don't remember breathing for at least a minute. Back in the village, you question the old woman again. She's sitting on the same wooden stool, feeding pieces of dried jackfruit to a cat that may or may not be alive. She sees the key, and she doesn't look surprised. "Man, it found you," she says. You ask her what she means. She doesn't answer. She just leans forward and traces a shape in the dirt with her finger. A circle with 8 spokes, like a wheel. Inside, there are 8 rooms. Each one locked, each one wrong. You don't ask how she knows. You don't want to know how she knows. Back at camp, the jungle greets you differently. No silence. This time, it's singing. A slow, low hum, almost a chant from the insects. The wind, the branches above. Like a lullaby for something ancient. You approach the door again. Run, your fingers along the seam. The water is stopped. The metal is dry. You slide the key into the bottom left slot, one that you hadn't noticed before, hidden by grime and mud. It fits too perfectly. And when you turn it, you feel it move something inside the wall. Deep and reluctant, like the spine of a sleeping animal. A metallic click echoes beneath your feet. You step back, but nothing opens. Nothing moves. So you wait. Hours pass. The jungle grows bored of you again. You sleep just before midnight, and you wake at 2:41 a.m. on the ... because the door is open. Not swung open. Just unlocked ajar by a hand's width. And from within comes the smell. It hits you like a wave of iron, mildew, and a faint tang of something burned. You shine your flashlight inside. The entry tunnel slopes down into darkness, walls slick with moss and time. The floor is dry, but your brain can't process that, because the trickle of water from outside has stopped completely. And yet the tunnel is dry. No mud, no mold, got just that same strange smell. And something else. A footprint, fresh, still damp, leading out of the tunnel. You shine the light farther, and for a moment, just a single, flickering moment, you see the end of a hallway. At the far end. Something moves. Too fast to see clearly. Too slow to be imagined. It ducks out of sight before your brain can tell your legs to run. But you don't run. You walk up to the edge of the door, and you call out, "Is anyone there?" The reply isn't a voice. It's a sound. A low, wet whisper. Of a step. Then another. Then silence. Then one more step. Closer. You don't know how long you stood there, listening. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15. But eventually, the jungle starts breathing again behind you, and the insects start clicking and ticking like a distant metronome, pulling you back into yourself. You don't go in. Not yet. You close the door, slide the key out. And promise yourself. You'll return tomorrow, but you already know you will, because it heard you. And it walked toward your voice. You wake before sunrise. You didn't sleep so much as you paused, blinking slowly through a night that never really let go of your mind. Dreams came in fragments, boots and puddles, rusted metal groaning, a key that turns you instead of the door. The bunker is only a few meters from your tent, but now it feels like another country. Or another year. Maybe another you. You approach it again with the key clutched in your fist so tightly your knuckles ache. The door looks different now. Not damaged. Not aged. Just alert, like it's been watching you all night. You insert the key. Another slow, iron click. The door gives way with a thick, wheezing sigh, exhaling a breath it's been holding for over 50 years. Inside, your flashlight beam cuts into the dark like a surgical blade. The air is cold, dry, and smells like time forgot it. Concrete walls curve slightly inward, creating a tunnel that seems to pull you deeper, like a throat welcoming its next swallow. You step in. Behind you, the jungle dies. No birds. No wind, no sound at all. You don't notice that the door closes. On its own. Not yet. You're too focused on the floor beneath your boots. It's smooth, too smooth, like it's been cleaned. But by what or who? You follow the tunnel for what feels like several minutes. Then it opens into a large chamber. The flashlight flickers just enough to unsettle you, then steadies again. The room is wide and circular, with 8 metal doors positioned like numbers. On a clock. Each one labeled B1 to B-8. You know without knowing that. B to 9 is the space you're standing in now. This is the center dot, and something used to live here. There's a cot. Still upright. Its mattress torn but dry. A desk with rusted tools laid out neatly in a row. A kettle. A chair with scratch marks on its back legs, like someone was dragged away from it. Your breath fogs slightly. It shouldn't. The air isn't cold enough for that. But it does. You reach the first door, B1, and check the handle. Lock. B-2. Lock. B-3. Lock. Each has a small window, but the glass is so caked with grime you can't see anything inside. You try to scrape it off with a knife, but your blade barely makes a dent. Then you see it. Above B4, smeared just faintly into the wall, is something written in black. Faded, but still readable. Do not wake the wet one. You step back. Your light flickers again. You don't remember turning, but suddenly you're facing B7, and for the first time, you feel heat. Real heat. Like something behind that door is breathing. Then dash slam. The entrance door behind you shuts with a metallic crash that echoes through your ribs. The sound doesn't just bounce. It lingers, like it wants to settle into your bones. You run back. Try the handle. Nothing. You're sealed in. Of course you are. You rest your forehead against the steel. It feels warm. Too warm. As if the door is now part of something alive. Turning back, you notice something else. The puddles. They're here too. Not large ones. Just little circular damp spots near each of the 8 doors. Fresh. Reflective. And in the center of each, a single boot print. Same size. Same tread. Identical. Your breath starts coming faster, like you're trying to outrun oxygen itself. You tell yourself to stay calm, to document everything, to treat this like the expedition it's supposed to be. So you open your notebook. You write down the layout, the smells, the doors. But when you flip to a blank page to sketch the room, you find it's already been drawn. Not by you. A diagram of the room. 8 doors, the central cot, the desk, but one door, B5, has been marked with a thick black X. And underneath it, written in trembling, rushed handwriting. He said it wasn't a man anymore. You don't remember bringing this page. You don't remember writing anything like it. But it's your notebook. Your pen, your trembling hand. Then you hear it. From behind one of the doors, B3, comes a sound like paper being torn underwater. A ka, squelch, a shudder, a voice, low and human. Not words, just breath. And then soft and wet something scratches the inside of the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then silence. You don't move for a full 5 minutes. When you do, it's only the back. Away toward the desk in the center of the room. You rummage through the rusted tools and find a folded piece of cloth. Inside it is something that shouldn't be here. A photo. Black and white. Blurry. But clear enough to see what matters. 5 soldiers. Standing in the very room you're in now. Smiling. One of them is missing a hand. Another is holding a gas mask in his lap, like a child clutches a teddy bear. And behind them, almost hidden in the shadows near B5, is a figure. Wrong. Size. 2 tall. 2 wet. Its face isn't a face, just black. And in the bottom corner of the photo, smeared in black pen, one stayed, one changed, one waits. You drop the photo, or maybe it jumps. Either way, it lands face down, and behind you, one of the doors groans, just slightly, like it wants to speak. You don't turn around right away. The groan was low, metallic, half mechanical, like the door wasn't being opened so much as stretched. And it's not just any door. It's B-5, the one marked with an X in the diagram. The one the photo warned about. The one that until now had been as still as the others. But now it's breathing. Yes, breathing. You can feel it. like the door itself has lungs. You take a step back, then another, until your shoulder taps the cot. It makes a soft metallic creak that seems too loud. It echoes around the chamber and bounces off the steel doors like a cue. And then clang. The slot on B5, a narrow, rectangular opening at face height, slides open. Nothing is visible. It's pure black inside, deeper than shadow, black like the color of drowned lungs. But the smell, God, the smell floods out instantly. Wet rust, rotting leaves, swamp water, and something you can't name. Something wrong. Your eyes start watering. And then quietly, sweetly, something whispers through the slot. You don't understand the words. They're not in any language you've ever heard. They're not words at all, actually. They're sounds that used to be language. Like someone who remembered how to speak, just enough to be cruel with it. Then the whisper stops, and the slot slams shut. Your flashlight flickers again, hard this time, strubbing 3 or 4 times before going completely dark. You slap it. Nothing. You slap it again. Spark, and then the beam returns. But you're not alone anymore. You know this in the same way. You know you have blood in your body. You turn slowly, and in the flickering cone of light, something glistens. A wet trail, a thin, shimmering smear of moisture stretches across the floor from B5 to the central cot. It wasn't there before. It wasn't there before. You follow it with your light. The trail curves around the cot, circles it once, then ends at your boots. You take a step back. The trail follows. You shine your light toward the door, and for just a split second, just one, you see it. An eye. Not blinking, not wide, not human. Just watching. From inside the slot of B-5. Then it vanishes. Something shifts inside you. Not fear, not yet. But something worse. Recognition. You've felt this before. Infect's last breath. You step to the desk again. You need answers. You demand them now, even if you won't like them. You rummage through the drawers. Most are rusted shut, but one gives way with a snap of moldy wood. Inside, there's a tape recorder. Old. Military issue, big clunky buttons. Next to it, one reel, labeled Operative Log Number 06 New Yen. You push it into place. Hit play. And after a soft hiss of static and crackling tape, you hear a man's voice, shaky. Young. Ph. Ick. Day 6. Still no signal. Water's risen 2 inches since morning. I sealed the hatch. Still hear them at night. Don't know how they're getting in. Maybe the walls breathe too. A pause. A breath. Tried to open B5 today. God help me. It knocked back. I told command we should have never sealed it. It wanted the others, not me. It said my name. How the F asterisk 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 did it say my name? Another. Pause. If anyone finds this, don't open anything. Don't talk to it. Don't answer it. You don't win. You don't leave. You just stop counting the days. The tape ends with a dull click. You stand there in silence, the weight of his voice heavy in your chest. But then, you realize something. The water. He said it rose 2 inches. You kneel quickly and touch the floor. It's damp, but it wasn't 30 minutes ago. You run back to the central door, the way out, and grab the wheel to spin it open. It doesn't budge. You pull harder. Still nothing. Then, from behind you, softly, clearly, comes the sound of a footstep. Not a dragging shuffle. Not a scurry. A deliberate step. One. Then another. You spin around. No one's there. But the trail has moved. It's longer now, leading from B5 to the back of the room, where you just stood. You check your boots. You left no prints. But there's a second set now. Wider. Deeper. Made by something barefoot, and heavier than any human should be. They weren't there before. You want to leave. You need to leave. But something is changing in the air. Pressure builds in your ears, like you've sunk Underwater, your balance shifts. The walls feel closer. The lights dim, not because your flashlight is dying, but because the room itself is darkening. The center light bulb, above dead for decades, flickers once, then twice, and suddenly illuminates yellow and cold. But it's not alone. You see shadows now, moving ones, not cast by you. Long, thin limbs. A hunchback. A dripping silhouette near the cot. You don't breathe. Don't blink, but it does. It turns toward you. And though you can't see a face, you know it's smiling. Then, as fast as it appeared, it vanishes. The light goes out. The room plunges into black. Your flashlight flickers just once before settling again. And there, in the center of the cot, is something new. A photograph of you, taken from behind. Inside the room. Moments ago. The photo shakes in your fingers. It's glossy, fresh, still warm like it was printed seconds ago. The angle is unmistakable. Taken from behind you, at shoulder level, while you were standing by the cot. Your posture, your head tilt, the corner of the cot's torn blanket all exact. But what sends ice crawling through your stomach is what's behind you in the image. A figure. Tall, glossy. Dripping. Its face is a smear of waterlogged flesh, like paper that's been soaked and twisted too many times. Its arms hang too low. Its posture is expectant, like it's watching you watch the picture, like it wants to be caught. You drop the photo, but even after it hits the ground, the wet sound it makes echoes longer than it should, like it didn't land on concrete all but something softer, something living. You spin around, nothing there. The cot's empty, the desk unchanged, but the room has shifted. You can feel it. The walls are tighter, closer. Moisture beads now openly on the surfaces. Drops run down like condensation, but there's no humidity. No heat, it's just wet. And the smell, it's growing sharper. Like mold, seaweed, and burnt rubber mixed into a soup that hasn't finished cooking. Every breath feels heavier, like you're drinking air instead of inhaling it. Your ears pop once. Then again, you blink and the light from your flashlight catches something, another set of boot prints. Fresh, leading away from the cot, toward the far corner of the room. You raise your flashlight slowly. Heart pounding. The beam lands on a hatch. Low, half hidden by a rusted tool cabinet. You never saw it before. It wasn't there before. But now it is. It's marked in chipped red. Paint call on B-0. Your brain skips like a scratched record. There were only supposed to be 8 side doors and this central chamber. B to 9. You counted. You documented. This is new. You crouch, knees trembling. There's no handle. Just a rectangular latch and 2 finger-deep indentations. You don't want to touch it, but you do. Of course you do. Curiosity is a disease, and you've been infected since the moment. Fuck. You press. The hatch gives a wet click and creaks open. The smell hits you like a wave. Sewage, salt, hair, blood. You gag and turn your head, swallowing bile. But your light catches something below. A ladder leading down into water. You lean closer. The surface is barely 3 feet below the hatch. Black, still. But not flat. It shimmers oddly, like it doesn't obey the laws of reflection. There's no sound, not even a drip. But then the water ripples once. Soft concentric pulse, as if something beneath just blink. And then you hear it again. Footsteps. But not above. Not behind. Below. In the water. You freeze. The sound is wrong. Muffled and sloshy, but rhythmic. Human in shape, but not in intention. You can feel it coming up the ladder before you ever see it. You slam. The hatch shut. It doesn't click. It doesn't seal. It breathes. The hatch pulses softly beneath your hand. Like something alive is pressing its own palm back from the other side. You stumble away, adrenaline boiling. Heart pounding loud enough, you're afraid whatever's down there will hear it. Then, thud. A wet handprint appears on the underside of the hatch. Window. Not inside. Not outside. In between. The light bulb above you flickers again. Your flashlight stutters in unison. You are starting to understand. This place isn't haunted. It's alive. It doesn't house spirits. It feeds on them. It holds them, saturates the walls with their weight. Every drop of water is memory. Every boot print is a footstep someone never returned from. You check your map. It's changed. Now, instead of a neat circle with 8 spokes, there's a 9th door drawn crudely in the center of the chamber. Labeled BO. Beneath it, someone has scrawled a message in ink so smeared it looks like it was written with tears. The door is not a way in. The door is a mouth, and it wants more. Your breathing grows shallow. You back into the desk, mind racing, trying to remember every spiritual superstition you'd ever heard growing up in Vietnam. Prayers, salt, the red strings, the mirrors. But this is older. This isn't ghost territory. This is something primordial. Then you notice something new. All 8 steel doors, B1 through B8 now, have water pooling beneath them. Not puddles, floods, slow but sure, spreading like veins, and worse, they're leaking from the inside. One of them is starting to shake. 2. You raise your light. Its tiny viewing window is smeared now. With fingers. From the inside, you stare in horror. As 5 long, dripping digits smear downward in a lazy arch, and just behind the glass, barely visible, is a mouth. Grinning. A gash too wide, too toothless. A parody of joy. Then you hear your own voice. Not an echo. Not a memory. Your voice. From behind you. It whispers. You stayed too long. You spin. Nothing there. But the cot is soaked now. The photo you dropped is gone. The tape recorder is hissing. Static. The walls are darker. Closer. Breathing. You run to the central door. You twist the release. This time, it moves. 1 turn. 2. You heave the metal inward, only to see blackness on the other side. Not the jungle. Not the tent. Just pure void. Wet and infinite. You slam it shut again. Your lungs burn. Understand now. There is no exit. Only directions to fall in. And the bunker is chosen down. You don't scream. You want to. You want to so badly it burns in your throat like bile. But you don't, because some primal part of you older than memory, older than even fear, tells you. If you scream, it will hear you better. So you stay quiet. You step back from the sealed central door and press your spine against the moist wall. The metal is cold, but it's pulsing now. Like a heart. Slow and steady. Like the whole structure is breathing in sync with something deep beneath it. You can't stop shaking. All 8 doors but 1 to B8 are leaking now. Water is spreading across the floor, and not in puddles anymore. It's rising. A ½ inch already. You watch the shimmering layer crawl up over the solace of your boots. It's too fast. It's wrong. You shine your flashlight again, one desperate sweep, and you freeze. A figure stands near B-3. Not moving. Tall. Thin. Head tilted sideways, like it's trying to understand you. Like it's listening. It's barefoot. The skin on its legs is bloated. Gray. You can't see a face. Its head is bowed, and long black hair drips like seaweed over its features. But its arms hang low, unnaturally low. Fingers grazing the water's surface like it wants to taste it. It doesn't step toward you. It drifts. Slow and silent across the water. And as it moves, the other doors begin to rattle. All of them. Each one thudding. Syncopated. Not frantic eager. Like they're waiting their turn. You do the only thing left. You climb. The emergency ladder, the one above the central door, it leads to a maintenance shaft. You saw it earlier and dismissed it. But now, it's the only vertical option in a place that wants you horizontal and drowned. Your boots splash as you wade across the floor. The water is calf deep now. Freezing. It clings to you, tries to slow you, drag you back. You feel hands in it, not visible, but felt, small, grasping, not. Cool dash, pleading. You climb faster. Rungs groan under your weight. Rust crumbles. The narrow shaft above is black, filled with the stink of mildew and rot. 10 feet up. Then 20. You don't look down. You never look down. But at 30 feet, you pause, because the sound has changed. The water isn't still anymore. It's sloshing. Something heavy is moving through it fast. You brace yourself and glance down. And that's when you see them. Not one figure, not two. All of them, from every door. They're all open now. And the chamber below is full. 8 figures, shuffling, slithering, dripping. Some crawl, some glide. One near. B6 walks upside down across the ceiling, head twisting 180 degrees to keep eyes on you. You scream now. Screw the warning. You scream, and they answer. Voices, in a dozen wrong pitches, echoing off the shaft. One sounds like your father. Another like fuck. One is your own. Don't leave us. The water remembers. We're still warm. You climb. The shaft ends in a small panel, rusted shut. You ram it with your shoulder. It creaks, holds, then gives way in a cough of dust and mold. You tumble into a long-forgotten storage corridor. Dry, silent, narrow, lit only by your dying flashlight, which now stutters every third step like a heartbeat on the edge of flatlining. The map says this place doesn't exist, which means it might be your only hope. You move fast. Down the corridor, past stacked crates and skeletons of gear long abandoned. Rats skitter. One of them has no eyes. You don't care anymore. You reach a sealed hatch labeled Operations, Level -2. You don't remember seeing this on any plans. But at least it's not underwater. You open it. Inside is an observation room. Glass windows, desks, broken chairs, and a massive, blood-smeared whiteboard covered in looping. Illegible handwriting, but the centerpiece is the mirror. One way, floor to ceiling. You step close and realize it's not a mirror at all. It's glass. Beyond. It barely lit is a second room, small, circular. A holding cell. At its center is a table. On that table is a single object, a Vietnamese Army ID badge. Your name, your photo. But it's wrong. The image is you, but older, weathered, pale, eyes glassy and wrong, like the photo was taken after you drowned. You stumble back. The radio crackles to life. Voice, clipped, official, Vietnamese, mid-70s military dialect. Bunker 206 breach. Observation protocol failed. Subject duplicated. Cycle incomplete. Containment impossible. Begin. Recursion. Then silence. You stare through the glass again. The figure behind it stirs. Not just an image. A copy. It sits up on the table. Looks at you. Smiles. And whispers. Though there is no sound. You finally made it back. Then it begins to rise. The lights go out. Behind you, something opens. And the footsteps return. This time, there are too many to count. You don't turn around. You can't. Because if you do, if you so much as flinch toward the sound behind you, it'll break something inside you, something. You'll never piece back together. But the footsteps are relentless. Sloshing, dragging, clicking against the concrete, like a chorus of death, slowly tuning itself for a final performance. You stare at your reflection in the thick glass, and for a moment, You try to convince yourself it's all hallucination, oxygen deprivation, trauma, panic, pick your poison. But the figure in the holding cell? It's still standing, still smiling, and now it's reaching up to the mirrored glass ... From the other side, pressing its palm flat to where your hand would be if you touched it back. You don't. You re-knot that stupid ... instead. You turn. Finally ... and you run. Down the corridor again. Away from the observation chamber. Away from your own face smiling through the glass. But the bunker has other ideas. The corridor has changed ... It's longer now ... wetter ... The lights flicker in rhythmic bursts like a dying pulse. And in each flicker, you see new detailed shadows moving parallel to you just beyond the wall. Hands sliding along the pipes above. Wet footprints leading you forward instead of trailing behind. You know what that means. Something is guiding you. Whether it's the bunker or what's inside it, you don't know anymore. But you're being herded. You pass another open hatch ... It wasn't open before. The number on it is smeared. But you catch part of ITBO again ... It's followed you here ... Another stairwell descends behind it ... You want to cry. But something in your legs keeps moving. That same bitter curiosity. That refusal to die, not knowing. You descend. Step after step ... Deeper ... The water begins again around the 5th level down. First, just a slick floor. Then ankle deep. Then shin. You stop when the water hits your knees, because now the sound has returned. But this time, not footsteps ... Voices ... Children. A choir of them, giggling, singing, in Vietnamese. A lullaby you remember your grandmother humming. Uji. Viducsu Van Hong Hin. Their voices echo from the walls like trapped air. Then you hear another one low, male, ragged ... It whispers. She's in the water. You look down ... It's pitch black beneath your knees. Like stepping into oil. No reflection. No bottom ... And then eyes. A single pair. Open beneath the surface. Right under you ... Wide ... Staring up. You leap back. The water sloshes. Crashes against the steps. But the eyes are gone. Just water again. You climb the stairs ... 2 steps ... 3 ... But you feel something grasp your boot ... It's wet and warm ... And angry. You're pulled backward violently. Slammed into the stair rail. Shoulder cracking against metal ... You kick. Scream. Thrash ... The thing drags you down 1 step. Then another. You grab the rusted pipe on the wall, screaming through clenched teeth, and wrench yourself free. You crawl. Don't even try to stand. You drag yourself back up, the thing still slapping at your legs, clawing, grabbing desperate. But the stairwell above has light now. Real. Light ... Natural ... Golden ... You reach it like a dying animal. Collapse on concrete. You've emerged into a forgotten hallway, long and dry and lit by a skylight you don't remember being there. Ivy has broken through the concrete above. Dust coats the floor like snow. You lie there, gasping, trying to believe you've escaped. Then you hear it again. Not behind you. Not beneath you. Inside you. A whisper. You never left. Your reflection is still wrong. You crawl toward the nearest reflective surface. A steel cabinet. Dented but glossy. You brace yourself. You look ... It's you. But not you. Bloated. Face. Bloodless lips. Eyes filled with water that doesn't drip ... Your twin ... Your replacement ... Waiting ... Then, behind the reflection, something moves. A second face. Floating just over your shoulder. You spin ... Nothing ... But the hallway is darker now. The skylight? Gone. No more sunlight. Just gray concrete. Again. Cold and wet. You check your hand. Your fingers are pruned. Like you've been underwater a long time. Too long. You rise. Legs shaking. You have one idea left. One chance ... The radio room ... From your maps. Before they became nonsense. There was a radio. Outpost on the north edge of the facility, just past the officers' quarters. If you can reach it ... if you can transmit ... maybe someone will hear. Someone alive. Someone real. You stagger down the corridor. It twists unnaturally. Bends where it shouldn't. Staircases lean sideways like broken spines. Old signs point to places that don't exist, but you push on. Finally, a rusted sign. Radio control. Sector unused shoulder open the door. Inside, single desk ... dust covered ... a cracked window overlooking ... nothing. Just fog ... and on the desk. Radio ... still humming. Still alive. You fall into the chair. Your hands tremble as you adjust the frequency. You remember training. The steps. You find the old Vietnam War emergency broadcast channel. You press the button. This is Corporal. You pause. What was your name again? The thing in the glass had your name. But do you? You shake your head. Try again. This is ... this is a survivor. I'm at Bunker 206. There's something alive down here. It's not ghosts. It's not human. It's not static ... Then a voice crackles back. We know. That's why we sealed it. You blink. Who is this? A pause. Then the voice, cold and firm. That place isn't for the living. The radio dies. Just one long beep, and then silence. Your mouth is dry. Your hands are shaking. You are alone. Again, ... not quite ... from behind you. The door creaks open, and the sound returns ... not steps. Not voices ... breathing ... right. Behind your ear ... slow. Wet ... patient ... you don't turn around. You tell yourself again, don't. But your body is not listening to your brain anymore. It's listening to something older. Something beneath the floor, beneath your skin, beneath the very idea of who you are. You turn, and there it is. The girl. She's just standing there, in the doorway of the radio room, barefoot, soaking wet. Her hospital gown clings to her frail body, thin as rice paper, translucent in the dying light. She's not a child. Not anymore. You recognize her. It's the same one from B-3. The same eyes, the same smile. But she's clearer now. No longer some drifting shadow in water. She's focused. Tangible. Real enough to hurt you. Real enough to follow you out. She tilts her head, and her hair spills forward in a thick, dripping curtain. Then she takes a step inside. The radio crackles. Again behind you, but not a signal. Not hope. Just a voice, looping like a broken cassette. Cycle incomplete. Cycle incomplete. Cycle incomplete. You stumble back toward the far wall. You feel the edge of the window glass now fogged with handprints. Too many to count. All on the inside. She speaks. It's a whisper and a scream all at once. You're wearing the wrong face. You blink. She's closer. No. Footsteps. Just ... nearer. Like your eye glitched and forgot the in-between. And now she's not alone. Behind her, others gather. More wet figures. More mistakes. More versions of you. Each one damaged in some way. One with his neck twisted too far. One with no jaw. One in full uniform, but the badge melted like wax. They're all you, but not. You made it this far, she says, voice like static and rust. So now, come see where the door goes. You try to speak. Nothing comes out, but breath. She reaches forward. And you run again. There's a rusted service hatch in the floor behind the desk. You saw it before. Didn't want to open it, but now it's open. A black square leading into nothing. You drop through. No ladder. Just a free fall into shadow. And then splash. Water. Icy. Everywhere. You're underwater again. Sinking. You try to surface but can't find the top. There's no light. No bubbles. Just pressure. Something brushes your arm. Then your neck. Then hands. They're back. The hands from before. Small. Hundreds of them. They're not pulling this time. They're guiding down deeper until you breach the surface again, not up, but into a dry room. You cough, choke, drag yourself forward. You're in a long concrete tunnel. The walls are covered in names, etched, scratched, burned. Rows and rows. All Vietnamese, all military. And one of them is yours, not a future version. Not a doppelganger. Your full name, rank, unit, date of birth. Date of death. Today, you back away, trembling. The tunnel stretches forward. A single light flickers at the far end. Over a massive steel door. Engraved on the door are 3 words. Si Sang the Tam, the 8th gate. You whisper it aloud. And the whole bunker breathes. Not metaphorically. The air moves around you. Walls expand. Pipes groan. A massive exhale from deep below. And then you understand. This place is not haunted. Not really. It's a mouth. A sealed entrance. Not for you to enter, but for something else to leave. You press forward. The door is already ajar. Behind. In a room of mirrors. Floor to ceiling. Infinite versions of you. Some crying. Some screaming. Some smiling. All trapped. Except one. Standing in the middle. Dry. Calm. Looking right at you. He nods. You step in. And the mirrors slam shut behind you. Your reflection doesn't mimic your panic. It just raises its hand. And waves. Like it's finally free. You stagger back, but your body doesn't move. Your reflection has stopped copying you. It steps forward. Reaches out. And passes through the glass. Takes your place. Smiling. Breathing. Real. And you are now on the other side. No mouth. No voice. Just glass. You scream, but no sound escapes. Just a fog of condensation. You bang the glass. No one comes. Just a faint echo of boots in the distance, and another figure entering the room, wearing your face, but not yours. Another one. Another trapped soul. Another sacrifice. Another you. The 8th gate has opened. The cycle begins again, and all you can do. Is watch. You don't remember how long you've been in the glass. It doesn't matter anymore. There's no time here. Only watching. Only waiting. Outside, the reflections move, but not with you. They pace. They examine. They test. Each new arrival looks slightly more like the one before. Each new one leaves just a little less themselves. You were the first they trapped this way. You know that now. The original copy. The prototype they perfected the process with. You screamed, begged, clawed at the mirror. But now even that feels like a dream someone else had. You sit, watch. And sometimes, you remember. You remember the girl in the gown. Her wet footprints. The whispers in Vietnamese lullabies. You remember the darkness in the water and the mouths that didn't speak words, only grief. You remember the eyes staring from the bottom. The ones that belong to soldiers. Patience. Yourself. The mirror world doesn't rot. It doesn't crack. It doesn't even age. You are preserved like an insect in amber alive. Conscious, aware, and worst of all, completely still. But outside the glass, the cycle continues. Another you arrives. He doesn't last long. They never do. He finds the radio. He screams into it. He begs. And like all the rest, he gets the same answer. That place isn't for the living. He falls. He flees. He runs in the same pattern, like a rat through transparent tunnels. And when he finally makes it here into this room of mirrors, he, too, is caught. The reflection chooses him, takes his place. You wonder if he feels it when the switch happens. Do they notice the weight of the real world leaving their lungs? Do they feel you moving in, watching from behind? And then you remember something terrifying. You remember why the place was sealed. Not to contain ghosts, not to trap wayward soldiers, but because something had been discovered beneath the old hospital during the war. Something not from here. Something with 8 doors. Only one was ever opened. Only one was ever walked through. And the thing that crossed over needed a body. Not just any body. Yours. You remember it now. You volunteered. You were the first test subject. You said yes. That's the part that breaks you all over again. It was your voice that first said, "Let me go in." You went into the water willingly. You stepped through the gate. And then the other part of you, the part that walked back out, smiled too wide. The bunker crew didn't last a week. The screams began on day 2. By day 5, the water reached the command center. They sealed it after that. They buried it. But it's never stopped calling to people. And every few years, someone hears it. Someone hears the footsteps echoing underwater. Someone hears the whispers over a forgotten frequency. And they come. Just like you did. Just like the next one will. Your memories fade again. The light dims behind the mirror. The next body's almost here. You can feel the weight of his breath, the pulse in his fingertips. He's close. Closer. The switch is coming. One last thing flickers through your fading thoughts. A phrase said once in a dream, carved in rust near the command room. There are places so haunted that they haunt time itself. And in places like these. Even the walls remember. Even you remember. But not for long. The mirror ripples. The glass flexes. The new host is ready. Your hand lifts without your permission. Your reflection waves. The cycle completes. And this time, you are not afraid. You are home. You are listening. Still, you made it through. Which means you either had headphones on or you're not one of them. Yet. Because places like this don't disappear. They don't burn or flood or fall to war. They wait beneath jungles, under lakes. Behind the silence of sealed steel doors. So, next time you hear footsteps in a place that should be empty. Next time you dream of water running up the walls. Next time you hear your own voice whisper from the wrong direction. Turn back. Or better yet. Get out the 8th gate. It only opens one way. And behind it is you. Forever. Sleep. Well, my dear friend, if you can, take care of your health, your dreams, and your reflection. Because someone. Might be looking back.